there's a lot. When you talk about the kind of personal aspects of what the record is. You kind of hit that right off the top with This Old Wheel. Talk about that track.
Man, I love that track. There's a couple people that rag on me. They're like, "You're rapping on it." I'm like, "I'm not rapping."
Exactly.
But I mean, it's like it's rapping as much as rap was originally like poetry that they did or whatever. And to me, like I've always been fascinated with a lot of the lyric rhythms of a lot of those things. And so with that song, that's a extremely autobiographical song because it focuses on basically 3 points of my life that were really challenging. And the first one being when I left Nashville, all brokenhearted and stuff. Oh, poor me. And and then I moved to LA, and then I got there, and I had focused on this band for all these years, and it just didn't happen. Like we just didn't get the right deal, or we didn't. We did that whole 6 years of like playing the Sunset Strip and trying to mingle with all those people, and here these other bands are getting snatched up left and right, and these flash in the pan singles and stuff, and we were just playing and playing and playing and pulling people, and eventually we just got so burned out. There was a point we broke up, and I was just sitting there going, man, I got to start all over again. And I remember just feeling there, and we had this rehearsal space on the corner of Hollywood and Vine, and that's why I'm talking about it in the song, right where the Capitol building is. You walked out of this place, and this place was disgusting. I mean, this rehearsal space was this. I mean, we had been putting cigarettes out on the floors for 4 years, and like this, and this place just it had this. That we'd wrestled our worst demons in this place, all my old band members and me, and so there was just this like vibe in this room where of all these years of struggling and kind of failure. And so when I finally moved out of that place, I was standing there. And I was like, I was walking to the rehearsal hall with an acoustic guitar, and I had this like American flag jacket on, and I like looked at myself, and I was standing on the corner of Hollywood and Vine with the guitar in my hand, just like the pictures of like when Axl gets off the bus and Welcome to the Jungle, he's got the hayseed in his mouth, like it pretty much the same, I was like, how did I end up here, and how am I going to get this going again, And so. And then the third point in This Old Wheel, which is the most weird part, is I reference William S. Burroughs in it. I talk about this, he had this thing called, it was a piece of his called Apuk the Destroyer, which was about basically this god, it was ancient mythology. It was this, they believed that Apuk the Destroyer was kind of this god, I think, that kind of came in and would, from what I understood, balance out. Like if anything was too good or too bad, he'd come in and destroy the whole thing and then level the playing field. And it was kind of like there was a point with this band where there was a lot of inner turmoil and a lot of stress and a lot of people talking into everybody's ears and really kind of creating what felt like it was going to break up. Like it felt like there was a lot of that energy and that a lot of negative energy that still is circling around. Always has been, and I think that that part in the song, I say in the last 9 or 10, old Apuk waltzed in, and I'm kind of talking about, it's a mixture of two things. I had a dream that was really weird where my dad was in the dream, and I asked him when all this was going to end, and he said in the last 9 or 10, and I was like, what the hell does that mean? So I put that in there. And it's kind of referencing this moment where it was me saying, I'm not going to let you destroy this now. We're not going to end this. I'm not going to, everything has fallen on my back every time and fallen to pieces, and I'm not going to let it happen. So that song is like, even though it's the most like rockin' song, it's kind of the most in-depth and obscure of all the songs, especially when you get to that last verse. And so it's kind of a championing, saying I'm not going to let it go down. I'm going to just keep going no matter what happens, no matter how low we get. I'm not going to let it fail again. So
well, what's interesting is like, you kind of roll all that kind of, as you said, like kind of deeply personal imagery into this kind of classic image of the wheel rolling down the road. Right. I mean, it's kind of, you're sort of getting both parts of it, in an interesting way. I mean, like,
that's cool. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Because
that's cool. I like that song a lot. I like the way it turned out. It's just such a wild, like, high energy, and it's the first song on the record. So I think there's a ton of people we played the record for, and they thought, this is what the record sounds like, you know, and then it takes all these other twists. But I thought it was a way to establish that we're going to keep on rolling.